Hi, it's Sandy Wyllie. Welcome to my mental health channel, where I wipe away the stigma of mental illness by talking about my own personal struggles, having borderline personality disorder, post-traumatic stress disorder, anxiety attacks and anxiety disorder, depression. I also talk about narcissism, schizophrenia, bipolar, all the different types of therapies out there like CBT, DBT, psychodynamic, psychoanalytical. I talk about my experiences being sexually abused by psychologists, but I only come on as a former patient of almost 20 years. I am not a licensed therapist. I do not hold a degree in psychology, so I can't diagnose you or give you a professional opinion. And all I ask in return of you is your kindness and respect in the comments down below. Please be kind to me, be kind to other people who comment. We don't have to agree on everything. Variety is the spice of life, but we do need to show each other kindness and respect. Now, if you are new to my channel, welcome one and all. Please hit that subscribe button there in the lower box on the right, where it says subscribe written on it, because that way there you will be notified every single time that I have a video out. If you like what you see, give it a thumbs up so I know which videos are popular and which ones don't go over too well. Now, today's topic is absentee fathers and their impact on their children. I was going to do, there's other videos out there about absentee fathers and their impact on their daughters, but I thought that that would exclude boys growing up, and I didn't want to exclude, one sex over the other. Now, why I'm picking absentee fathers is because my father was an absentee father. My best friend Holly's father was an absentee father. Yes, there are absentee mothers, and I'm not trying to, but that could be for another video. This video is just focusing on absentee fathers. So before anyone writes down in the comments, why are you so against fathers? There's plenty of absentee mothers. You're 100% right. There are. I'm saying that right now, so listen to me. There are just as many, I don't know more, I don't know the statistics, absentee mothers. And I'm not trying to single out men. I'm not trying to be sexist. On this video, I'm concentrating on absentee fathers. I'm not saying there's more absentee fathers than mothers, so I just want to set the record straight before someone chews me out in the comments. And the reason why I want to concentrate on that is because my father was an absentee father. Now, I've written books, Life with My Schizophrenic Father. I've done videos about my father being schizophrenic. He's a paranoid schizophrenic who's been in and out of mental hospitals all his life. He has hallucinations, delusions, he hears voices in his head. And if you want to know more about schizophrenia, please watch my other videos where I concentrated solely on schizophrenia. I don't have time in this video to cover all about schizophrenia, okay? My father was absentee because of his mental illness. Like I said, he was in and out of mental hospitals all his life. It was very hard for him to keep a job. And so he left me with a narcissistic mother who brutally beat me. And he called me horrific names, verbally, emotionally abused me. She left marks on my body. She made, it was horrific. But I'm not concentrating on my narcissistic mother in this video. If you want to know more about narcissism, and particularly my narcissistic mother, then go watch my other videos. I'm just focusing on right now how my dad was an absentee and how that affected me. Now, my dad left home. He had a nervous breakdown when I was a young girl. I have blocked chunks of my memory out This has to be between the age of 2 and 5. Because sometimes when you have such a, I was alone with my narcissistic mother during the period that he left home. He was unemployed. He was drinking heavy. He was a compulsive gambler too. He gambled all his money, and I was alone with my mother, who severely abused me. But I think I'm the type of person who believes that a child needs a mother and a father, okay? A woman and a man in their life, okay, for role models. Now, I'm not against if two lesbian women marry and raise children, but I do believe they still need a male role model in their life. I'm not against if two gay men marry and raise children, but I still believe they need a female role model in their life. This is just my personal belief. I'm all for gay rights. I'm all for gay marriage. It has nothing to do with that, okay? It's just my personal belief that children need to have, someone, a good female image to look up to and a good male image to look up to. And that's just my personal belief. You can have your opinion too. It can be different than mine. So not having my dad around, all I remember is what my dad told me, because I said I have amnesia, okay? I don't remember certain chunks of my childhood. I dissociated. I completely erased them or blocked them out of my mind, and all the therapy that I went to never got them back. In fact, they sexually abused me horrifically in my therapy. So therapy never helped me at all. So I certainly didn't recover those memories that, I blocked out at that time period when my father wasn't home. But I remember years later when my father was on his medication, he was great. When he was out of the mental hospital and seeing a psychiatrist regularly, doing the therapy, doing the work, taking the medication, he had a job. He told me that one time he came to pick me up. And get this, his mother, who lived the house over, his family lived 2 houses over from where we lived, was gonna babysit me while my mother went on a date. And I was sitting, my mother was getting ready, to go on her hot date. She dated some famous politician. I don't know who he was. I don't remember it. All I know was a famous politician that my mother dated at that time. I was just a little girl, like 2 or 3. I'm not going to know anything. He said he walked by the window because he was going to visit me, and he saw me at the kitchen table sitting all by myself, in the chair, and just like spaced out, zoned out, like completely zoned out and pitiful looking. I guess I had my dinner all over my face and shirt, like completely unkempt, like unclean, unwashed, like, ragu or whatever shit it was all over me, and just like zoned out, not like aware, like I'm talking to you now, like I'm aware of my surroundings, but when someone is zoned out, like spaced out, not even aware of their surroundings. That's probably why I dissociated. That's called dissociation. And his heart was so broke that he couldn't bring himself to go in. This is what he told me, because I don't remember it all. I have amnesia. I blocked all that out. But when you don't grow up with good role models, and you feel abandoned like that you're left with the parent who beats you, and the other parent is mentally sick, and they can't take care of you anymore. That's how I turned into having borderline personality disorder. That's it right there. I don't believe it's, I believe it's from your environment, okay? this is what I personally believe, okay? Hereditary might play some small part in it, but my belief, it's totally from your environment. I believe if I was raised by other parents, I would not have, that were nurturing and loving and didn't have mental illness, that even though I had a narcissistic mother and a schizophrenic father, I do not believe I would turn into having borderline personality disorder or post-traumatic stress disorder or severe anxiety disorder or severe depression. I don't believe I would have mental illness at all. I think that it was all in my upbringing. Now, you can disagree all you want in the comments, and that's great, because I always welcome comments, and I always will answer your comments back. I will always acknowledge you. I will always validate your opinion, unless you're rude, okay, and criticize me. If you criticize me and you're rude, and you're trying to, give it to me, I'm just gonna delete you and get you off my channel, okay? Because I said respect and kindness. But that's when you don't have that good role model as a male, you grow up a male role model, as I said that wrong. When you don't have a good male role model, okay, like a father who's there, and you're left alone and your mother is unnurturing, then you grow up having what I did, have severe abandonment issues. You have personality disorders. Like me, I have borderline personality disorder. And it was just a horrific experience. I wish I could tell you more, but I don't even know myself. So I can't share it with you if I don't even know myself. Now, my ex-best friend Holly, she had an absentee father too for a while. He had an affair with a much younger worker. I'm not going to go into the details about it. She was young enough to be his daughter. Imagine how she felt then. And he left her mother right before Holly's wedding. So Holly wasn't even sure if her father, would walk her down the aisle. She didn't even know, because he just left a note. All he did was leave a note and left. As a result of that, we make poor choices in men. We pick men that are emotionally unavailable. Now, my husband is the exception, okay? How I ever picked my husband, or how, I just got lucky that he's the most kind, empathic, caring, and giving me, honest, loyal, faithful. I could go on and on and on and on, right? But usually that's not the case. If you're raised like that and your father is an absentee father, you usually pick emotionally unavailable men, okay? Why I didn't pick I picked someone who wasn't that way, I'm just gonna say it's luck. Just like luck fell my way. I picked my husband because he made me feel safe. He made me feel secure, and he was the only safety and security I had in my whole life. So I didn't want to let that go, I had no safety growing up. I had no security. So I was lucky to find my husband. Now, if you're a boy and you have an absentee father, you really don't have a role model either for what it's like to be a caring and loving man. Because you never were shown that, because your father is that, just like a woman, when I grew up, you never really shown what it's like to have an emotionally available man. So later on in life, you pick, because your father was absentee, you usually, I'm not going to say always, you usually pick emotionally unavailable men if you had an absentee father. If you were a guy and you had an absentee father, you never had a role model, an example of how a loving husband and, parents would be. So I think it would be very difficult for you to grow up and be nurturing, supportive, and loving. I always said this: if I was a boy, I would be, and raised by my mother, and my father left, like what happened, I would be narcissistic. I would also be gay. This was my opinion now. Okay? Just my opinion. Because if I was raised with a bitch like my mother and I was a boy, I'd be turned off by women. I am turned off by women, by the way. Why do you think I pick all male shrinks? Because I hate women because of my mother. Now, if I was a boy, I would hate women just like I do now as a girl. So I probably would be gay. Just to guess, I don't know for sure, but I analyzing, because now I have a lot of time to analyze myself and other people in my life because I'm not in therapy, so I don't have a shrink to shove down their opinions. I do it myself. I thought, I probably would be gay, and I probably would be narcissistic. So a boy in my situation who didn't have a positive male role model and was raised by a narcissistic mother, probably those two things might happen. They might turn out to be narcissistic because I didn't have any strong male good role models to see. My husband turned out to be loving, caring, and nurturing because he had his parents were good role models. Every time I went over his house when we were dating, I would see his father always kiss his mother all the time. She'd come home from work, he'd kiss her. How'd your day go? They'd sit down before dinner. Now, before the mother made dinner or anything, they'd sit down. She'd have a glass of wine and make him a drink, and they'd eat these little goldfish. You know those cheddar goldfish crackers? And they'd sit across from each other and just talk about their day. Just that sacred time before dinner, and before she even made dinner or anything. They would do that. And I noticed my husband always kisses me all the time. Like constantly. Tells me he loves me. Constantly kisses me in the morning, in the evening. Like we all work from home. So I'll be working on the computer and he'll just come over and kiss me and say, I love you. And we're married 37 years. And he does this spontaneously out of the blue. Every single day he does this. It's incredible. Why does he do this? Because that's the role model my husband had growing up. The role model he had was his father. When his mother came home from work, his father went right over to the mother, kissed her. I mean, I was in shock because my parents hated each other. They never kissed each other. They would fight. My mother would physically abuse my father, leaving welts and bleeding welts all over his body, and throw things. Throw the furniture, break things, throw things at me. It was a chaotic environment that I lived in. So when I saw my future husband at that point, when I saw his father kiss his mother, I go, wow, they still do that. Because I'm young, I'm like 18, 19, and I'm saying, these people are in their 50s, and I'm going, and not just because of that. Because I never grew up seeing that. I never saw my parents hug each other. I never saw my parents kiss each other. All I saw was screaming, swearing, throwing things. My mother physically abusing me and my dad, because I never saw my father lay a hand on my mother. No matter what my mother did, I can swear in the Bible, I never saw my father raise his hand to my mother. Now my mother, she would beat the shit out of my father and me, but he never did. So that's what I grew up with. So when I go into someone else's house, like my future husband, when we were dating, and I see the father kissing the mother, and they're in their 50s, they're not like newlyweds or something, and I go, wow, look at that. But this is how my husband turned into a loving, compassionate, and caring, devoted man. Now, his parents' marriage lasted till his father died. I don't think they made their 50th anniversary, but it was over 45 years they were married. You know, he died at 75 years old. Yeah. So, I don't know if they made their 50th anniversary. They might have. How old were they? I think she was in her 20s. Yeah, she was in her 20s. They might have. I'm not sure. Maybe they did. I forget, okay? So I'm not going to say, but. So there's a difference, you see? So it does impact you as an adult, you know, if you had an absentee father, you know. It impacts you as a man, what kind of boyfriend or husband you grow into. It impacts you as a woman, what kind of future men you pick. And you usually pick emotionally unavailable men when you grow up with an absentee dad. Now, if you have any comments, if you experience this yourself, please let me know, because I love to have an ongoing dialogue with you and find out about you and your experiences. I'm not trying to push anyone who isn't ready to share with me, but I always appreciate the people that do share with me, and as I said, I will always respond to you, okay? All right, until next time.